Hello and welcome to the ministry. And today we are talking about a topic that God gave me. God been talking to me all day. We've been just rolling today. But in the middle of one word, He gave me this one. And what is this one? He showed me, you remember in the midst of the plagues that hit Egypt, there were 10 plagues that hit Egypt. Yes? In the 10 plagues that hit Egypt, we always talk about or focus on the fact that Pharaoh was impacted, but it shows you that all of Egypt was affected by the plagues. It was only the children of God that were not affected because they had instructions of what to do to prevent these things from hitting them. But what the Lord showed me is this. You know how we've been going through cycles and we've been wondering why it's been taking our God ordained spouses so long and all of this? Well, I was in the middle of doing a different word. It's called Now You See Me. It's the word that y'all been waiting on that I said I was going to do, where I was going to do a review of the movie Now You See Me. Well, I'm in the middle of doing that review while I am doing this. And while I was doing that, he gave me this. Okay? Your God ordained spouse was one of the Egyptians. Just like Moses, he was one of them, but he defected. Just like Moses, he didn't kill nobody, he ain't do nothing, he just separated himself. And in him making the decision to separate himself, there was a moment, an emotion that occurred, that he went from his prodigal state to coming back to the Lord. But it took a little bit of a nudge on God's part. What was his nudge? Just like with the Egyptians, when the plagues took place, there are things that God has been doing in the lives of your God ordained spouse, whether it was with the people, the places, the situations, or the scenarios. He created a plague scenario, and he brought it in once. Your God ordained spouse had to go through the cycle one time. He still ran. He didn't decide to come in that one time. Then he went again. And he had to go through the cycle again. Didn't work. Had to come back. Do it again. And he had to go through it however many rotations. The children of Israel had to go through it 10 times. I don't think your God ordained spouse had to go through it 10 times, but maybe he did, because maybe he didn't pass the test. Because remember, he had 3 tests, right? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and pride of life. And the enemy kept bringing that one back around. He kept bringing that one back around. And every time he brought that one back around, right, it brought a level of confusion for this person. And they either chose to run from God or run to God. Go back to my word that I did in relation to the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. He ghosted God. And every time he ghosted God, he had to go through that cycle again. And he had to go through that cycle again. But then, but then, for some of your God ordained spouses, they kept going through the cycle and they kept going through the cycle. But just like the children of Egypt, I'm talking about the Egyptians, when the children of Israel came forth, and this is you as a child of God, God's children, that as Moses, because this is what your God ordained spouse became when he defected from that place, because he saw the plagues coming in. He saw what was coming in from God. He saw the confusion and tearing apart that God was bringing into the places and spaces that he was in. And he's like, oh, I better get with God, because if I don't get with God, this might not be good for me. And just like the Egyptians, God gave that man an instruction. When the children of Israel came to the Egyptians and said, give me the gold, Give me the silver. Give me your jewelry. Your God ordained spouse was given an instruction that he may not have lost what he had in the places that he was in, but because he was given that instruction, that he was to share it with you, the Israelite. You're the Israelite that after he went through the plagues, he saw the external plagues that happened, and he had his own internal plague going on in his immediate life. He knew that just like those Egyptians, when they saw the Israelites coming to ask for the gold, the silver, and the jewelry, they willingly gave it to them. There are things that the Lord is using your God ordained spouse for in the position that he's in. Pay close attention. That in him being in that position, he's going to give you access. He's going to give you association. He's going to exalt you because he's got the access that God gave him, because God sent him as a messenger before. He just got lost in his way. Remember, I told you in Romans 8:20 that the Lord made them subject to their vanity in that season. But he called them back. That just as the Egyptians saw your God ordained spouse went through trials and cycles over and over until he decided to come run back to God like the prodigal son did. And he was tested and he went through them cycles. But then he learned his lesson and he had to go through the level of deliverance. But he knows that the favor is going to come in connecting to you, the Israelite. There are things that he's been assigned that he's going to have to give to you. It comes as part of. And it's not like he's giving it to you and he's not sharing it with you, but it's because you as the female, follow me closely. You are the female. You are the multiplier. You are the one that takes his seed and bears fruit. You're going to take what he gives you from what the Lord has given him, and you're going to bear fruit. You are spiritually equipped, emotionally equipped, and he's going to bring to you what needs to be done, whether it's through assets, whether it's through finances, whether it's through what have you, trades, business ideas. He is going to bring you certain things. And when he brings it to you, you're going to bear fruit. I know a coach, and she managed to make this point years ago, and it always stuck with me. The woman that has a strategy, when combined with the man that has the ability to execute, are two of the most dangerous people. If you do not recall my previous word, I made the point of saying that when the prodigal left the garden, it was not being tended to, and because it was not being tended to, the land dried out. You have been in a dry land, but when he comes to you, you will bear fruit. The harvest will be plentiful because once you and that individual come together, you're going to take what that person gives you. There are things that God's given him in instructions, downloads, business ideas, strategies, and you have the other half of it. He's got the resources, but you have the spiritual intuition and wisdom to handle it and carry it. And when you come together, you will not only be fruitful and multiply, you are going to replenish the promised land. It's time. It's time. And you're about to see the manifestation of it. They're coming. And this is with a seriousness they are en route to you because they know the instructions that they have and they know what they're supposed to give you. And when they give it to you, you're going to see it bear fruit. So this is Taj McCameron for Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings. Hashtag bear fruit for my Mrs. D Fruits and my Doctors and Multipliers. Come on now. Let's talk about it. Until next time, much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you. Bye-bye.